What is up everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today we're taking a look at HBAR, and HBAR is currently found a support level. The entire crypto market saw quite a steady crash during this past week from, really Monday to Thursday yesterday, and today everything is starting to pick right back up again. So that's some good news overall. A lot of coins, like specifically HBAR, SUI, Phantom, Render, are up quite significantly, nearly 10% for all of those coins. So that's really good as well. Today we're just going to be covering sort of what I think HBAR can do during the next week or so, and really start displaying some trade opportunities. So in the previous HBAR video we talked about purchasing HBAR roughly in this green zone, anywhere from the 0.26 down to the 0.248 area, and again this was a good buying opportunity because here you can see we clearly bounced in and now we're trading up. Let's see how much percent we're up exactly from the entry, roughly 5% from the entry. So with 10x leverage, if you found a lower time frame entry, that would be roughly 50%. Now a lower time frame entry might have been something like, for example, like finding an order block like here for example, and then waiting for us to obviously come back down into the order block, place your entries, and then ride off the profits. That's a possible scenario for a lower time frame entry with the higher time frame narrative. So that's what we were sort of looking for. Now if you didn't find the lower time frame entry, then you should have still entered on spot, and again you'd be up 5%, a very solid first entry for HBAR. Now we had a second entry also right here at 0.217 and again at 0.176. So we had three main entries. Again, these entries are obviously slightly nicer because we get a better price for HBAR. However, we didn't fall down to this, and it just shows us how strong HBAR is at these current levels. A lot of cryptos, for example like Rune, saw a huge crash from its highs. So clearly Rune isn't as strong as the market is and as other coins are in the market. Even today it's still down 0.3%, whereas everything is up. So that's why it's really important to also find strong coins in the market. Whereas they might not dip as much, they're definitely going to be rising even more. So that's why it's really important. Now what I'd be looking to do with this trade, again, if you entered on a shorter time frame basis, then you can easily just target this 15% target right here at nearly 31 cents and just claim your profits quite easily here. I do think it's going to be a sort of steady move up, and again you can also just set a trailing stop loss. So for example, we're up 5% now, you can set a stop loss to like 2% profit and then just ride the trade up. If it goes to 10%, set your stop loss at 4% profit and just continuously ride that up. That way your trade is risk-free essentially, and you're guaranteed to make profit from that. Now, do I see it going lower? That really depends on Bitcoin, because Bitcoin did come down into this white box and we did tap into it as we previously did on the end of December, and again at the start of December, and again at the end of November. And each time we do this tap in, we see quite large sort of rally going back up. So if we just follow that sort of principle, we should also see a rally. However, I do think there is quite a bit of buy orders in this box, so unless those were all filled with this wick, I do think we're going to come back down. But if not, then I think preparing for the 20th of January right here, a lot of people will have accumulated in this box and essentially will now just be waiting until Trump comes into office, and hopefully that sparks another major catalyst for the market to continue. And one thing that really quite interesting to see here, not only on Bitcoin but on the entire market, but specifically Bitcoin, is that we sort of get these legs. So obviously we had the Bitcoin halving occur, and that caused a huge spike. Then after the halving, everything sort of died down. We just kept consolidating in a downward trend. We hit 48,000, everything wasn't looking that good, and then right after we started getting some momentum going up, and as soon as we broke out of this trend, we also got Trump being elected, which obviously spiked the price up significantly. And then after that has died down, we now are in this consolidation leg where not much is happening. We're moving maybe 10-20% up and down, but overall not in any one specific direction. And the reason that's quite good is because it shows us that there's clearly some accumulation going on. Obviously this might be a distribution phase. However, I don't think so, because we have this specific day coming up, which I think is going to be another catalyst. And once this happens and we get some more news regarding crypto, I think this will essentially cause another spike going up. And then I think after this spike, it will probably turn into a copy paste of this, but at a higher level, like here somewhere, or maybe even lower, like here somewhere. And that will then be our distribution phase. I think if we can compare to the previous bull run, I think the distribution phases do look quite similar. Like we get a high, higher high, higher low, and then lower low, lower low, and essentially crash. If we compare that to what's happening now, we have our high, higher high, high. I mean, the lows are really stable, so potentially, I mean, this does look like a head and shoulders pattern. However, I wouldn't really be trying to trade that much of a retail pattern here, especially with a catalyst coming up, or maybe I'm just being a bit naive. But again, we don't have these lows. So even like here, for example, we had this low, and again this low, and again this low. So we're already in a downtrend with the lows. It was sort of like this sort of pattern, if I were to explain it: higher highs and lower lows. Whereas here, it's, you know, really just sort of like a triangle. So potentially we could just see another breakout here, which is what I'm assuming, especially with this huge accumulation zone. So that's my sort of plan on Bitcoin. And then if we go into Bitcoin dominance, which again, Bitcoin and Bitcoin dominance work in harmony to sort of, you know, act as the altcoin market. These two tickers right here, Bitcoin Dom and BTC, they are essentially the force that drives the altcoins, and however those two act, then that's exactly how altcoins will act. And in order for altcoins to pump, we need Bitcoin dominance to dump. Now, the good thing about Bitcoin dominance during this past crash is that if we look at, you know, January 7th all the way down to January 10th, Bitcoin was crashing. If you take a look at Bitcoin dominance, January 7th all the way to January 10th, it's been very stable, which is good. The reason it's good is because usually when Bitcoin is crashing, you'll get dominance absolutely pumping. You know, I mean, here's point A. Obviously, this was a bull market as well. Just look at this. You know, it always gets these pumps whenever Bitcoin is sometimes crashing, and that's what causes altcoins to do like a 2-3x dump from what Bitcoin has done. But here it's consolidated, showing us that there's probably an equal outflow going into altcoins and Bitcoin this time, which means that we could be gearing up for another altcoin season very soon. And again, that's evident in a lot of the, you know, more newer popular altcoins like Sui. Phantom obviously had a huge crash. Now it's slightly coming up, so we can discount Phantom from that. But Render, Sui, Fetch also climbing up quite well. ETH is lagging behind, but when ETH does start to pick back up and specifically goes into, you know, the 4,000s, that's when altcoin season will really start taking a big effect. And I think after that happens, you know, we'll be seeing a similar altcoin season to like 21, where we see altcoins just pumping 10-15% a day, which will be really good to see. But back to HBAR we go. So yeah, that's what we're sort of looking at to do. And again, it's very determined by Bitcoin and Bitcoin dominance. Now, any potential trades for this week, I wouldn't be looking for any shorts, in case you are wondering. You know, trying to short from this area right here back down to this area, it's very difficult shorting in a bull market, simply because it's too unpredictable. I think longs are the best way to go, and in a bear market it's much easier to trade, in my opinion. You can do both, you know, longs and shorts, because the market is, I'd say, got less volume in, because not a lot of people want to trade it during a bear market, so it's slightly more predictable. When there's a lot of volume, there's a lot of new traders as well, and a lot of experienced traders, and it's really difficult battling between the two. So that's why I think it's slightly easier to trade in a bear market, like we saw, for example, all the way from 22, you know, I'd say up to 24. Yes, there was some volatility, like these huge pumps, dumps, but these were over the course of a lot of days. And if we compare, you know, the sort of significance of this pump to this pump, it's very different. Like, it's uncomparable nearly. So yeah, that's why I think it's slightly easier to trade in a bear market. And another interesting thing here to see on HBAR is how similar this sort of pump is in comparison to 21 bull run. You know, we saw this huge pump up, a consolidation here, huge pump up, consolidation. And another interesting thing to take a look at is how much more we've sort of gone up before seeing a consolidation. Like here, this was our first proper consolidation, as you can see on the chart, and I'm interested to see what percent higher we went, you know, say to the high of the consolidation, 25% higher. So that's interesting to see. But then again, we have this sort of consolidation phase here, and that was similar to, you know, this consolidation phase here. So it'll be interesting to see how, you know, similarly this reacts to the 21 bull market, but that will be more data for us to carry into the next bull market for when we're, you know, building up positions then. So yeah, that's what we have for HBAR. Now, if you did enjoy the video, please make sure to like and subscribe. If you need a place to buy, sell, or trade any sort of cryptocurrency, check out all the exchanges we're working with down below. If you want to be getting trades sent to you by me and my team every single day, then check out the Discord we have linked down below also. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye, guys.